All right. Hello, everybody.
Good morning.
Welcome to our Tea Time Talks Week 2.
With tea this week.
With tea this week. Today we're enjoying peppermint tea. I'm sure as we progress, our teas will progress and change too. We have a big selection. So welcome to Week 2 of Tea Time Talks. I'm Katie with Katiehossyoga.
And I'm Maria Perri with Wellness Springs Chiropractic.
Stop on by.
Yeah, right.
Come for some yoga, some massages, some adjustments. So we are talking about the second agreement of Don Miguel Ruiz's 4 agreements. Last week we spoke on the first agreement, which is be impeccable with your word. And we spoke about the power of your word, speaking your truth. And we talked a little bit about how it begins in our thoughts. So this week we're talking about how not to take anything personally. So agreement number 2 is don't take anything personally. Cheers.
This is the agreement I think that has saved me from the most pain in life.
Agreed.
Yeah, right? Yeah, this has been like, I won't say it's my favorite agreement, but it's the one that has, once I could understand it, really has helped me a lot.
Yeah, and understanding it is what we're going to do today. Dive into what that means. And I'll just jump off with a story. I applied this personally to my life just a few days ago. I was teaching a yoga class, and we work with a pretty specific group of women here in the community of Kiera's Joel. And they have a lot of traditions and religions and practices, which I'm not familiar with. One of them is they completely cover up their body from head to toe. And I never really took much thought into how I should present myself. I'm a yoga teacher. I wear my yoga clothes and I teach yoga. But I was wearing something about what I'm wearing now, and I didn't have socks on. And they asked me if I would be comfortable wearing a long sleeve shirt and socks moving forward. And I was super offended. I took it really personally. You know, I never intended to offend anybody. I'm just here to teach yoga. But my feelings were really hurt. And I just needed to take a step back and realize it's nothing personal. This is just the way that they live and the way that they are. And if I'm going to be there around them, I need to respect that. And so I was able to overcome my own triggers, my own little sting of emotion, and not take it personally and teach a beautiful yoga class.
That's a great story. Yeah. We talk about not taking things personally a lot with our staff and with our front desk, especially when you're dealing with people who are in pain. Sometimes they're reactive, or sometimes they appear angry or short-tempered. And the truth is they're just in pain. And so that their reaction really needs not to be taken personally. It just needs to, I think, again, it needs to be understood. And I do have a sense that like those are deep-seated values. What I'm talking about, if somebody's in pain, that's if somebody, has something going on. Sometimes there's other things that are just long-standing. Like somebody is just really, really sad in their life, or they're in grief, or they're angry for whatever, or they're just not, a good friend or a good family member, or, it's somebody who you have a long-standing relationship with. If anybody's a step parent, you probably understand really well what I mean about not taking anything personally. And people can only respond from whatever vantage point they're at. And I think we have to really, what I choose to do is to realize where they're at has kind of nothing to do with me. And that I can't, maybe I can influence it, but I certainly can't control it. Absolutely. And I definitely need to not be hurt by it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So many beautiful things you just said.
Yeah.
I really love what you said about sadness.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about that a lot this week in yoga, about how it's the sacral chakra, which governs our emotions. Mm-hmm. And when we're sad, we take things more personally. We're more subject to being hurt. But when we're operating out of a happier frequency, mm-hmm. things don't bother us as much. Yeah. And that's why we practice yoga. That's why we come to Wellness Springs, right? To make our bodies better, so that way we can be a little happier. And we just take these words and apply them to our life. And yoga, I love the marriage of the body and the mind. Yeah. So when we talk about working through those emotions, releasing them physically, the emotions also release.
Or sometimes we're not happier. Sometimes we're still sad. You know,
Sure.
somebody you really love just died. You know, you're sad for a long time. But I think what you could do is you stay with it and you don't necessarily react to other people, or you don't react to other people's reactions. You know, you just stay with, I think that's what meditation does. That's what yoga, for me, that's my idea of it, that it's not necessarily that it makes me happier or better, but it allows me sort of this capacity, this space to be able to face whatever is, you know, and maybe with a little bit more kindness to myself, to other people, and with grace. You know, it's like it's a capacity thing. I think that's why we need to practice, so that we can build that capacity and then have it as a reserve when things are really difficult.
And a knowing that you can return to that space.
Yes.
Like that's what keeps me going throughout so much of turmoil, where I just can be frustrated and stressed and totally overwhelmed, but then just realize I can go to child's pose at any time and I can tune back in and my world is going to be okay.
Yeah.
And having that space, but the practice of being aware and being able to get there takes a lot of work.
And time. And there's something like I've been doing this for decades, like really for a long time. And still, sometimes it's hard to do by myself. You know, there's something about doing it with in a group. There's something about doing it, with someone who's a wonderful, kind, like teacher. You know, there's something about that community, I think, that helps us get there so much easier than we could get ourselves, even if you're practiced.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't think we can do anything completely by ourselves. We always need help. And that's why having these chats and having these talks and having this space, opening this space this year has been so important. So we can build each other up, so we can have this community. And that's how we send this message, and we hope that it reaches people, and we hope that people take a minute to pause and think, don't take things personally. Do I take things personally? Why do I take things personally? And explore that, and maybe you can suffer in life a little bit less.
Or even a better question, and Sandy, if you're listening to this, you'll laugh because now I'm like embodying you. The question being, how can I not take this personally? Or how can I be kinder to myself, to this person, to the person who's whatever, reactive or awful right now? How can I keep my peace no matter what else is happening outside?
Right. And saying these words, having that mantra, don't take things personally. Nothing other people do is because of you. Don Miguel says that. I think it's one of the opening quotes. Nothing other people do is because of you. Everybody's responding to their own dream, their own reality, their own traumas. When they told me that I was dressed offensively, that was their own, I need to be covered, and it's so, and that's fine. That's your reality. And I'll respect that when I'm in your space, no problem. Yeah. But to not take it personally, to not let it hurt me and offend my person, to protect myself is the power in that. And that's what he says. Resilience is the gift of not taking things personally.
Well said.
You
Awesome.
said it.
Yeah, awesome.
Do you have anything else?
No, I think that's it. Easier, just like so many like words of wisdom, much easier said than done.
Yes.
And again, just be kind to yourself, and in your practice, when you do take things personally, I think just be like, wow, I took that personally. How can I not do that next time? Or just be happy that you recognized it.
Recognizing
Yeah, you recognize it.
And not beating yourself up too. Yeah. That's something that happens so naturally as humans. We realize we did something wrong, and then we fall into that little pit of, I'm terrible, I'm awful, I always do this. Yeah. And just break that habit, create new thoughts, and just recognize it and say, I can do it better next time.
Yep. And maybe every day. It's a nice practice to look at your day and to say, what went right today? What can I do better next time? And just to like kind of let it go and know, okay, next time maybe I could do this a little bit differently. And I think that's why thinking and talking about these kind of things, having it not only in our talk, but like in our practice all week in the classes, it just really, it brings it to mind. And I think it's that bringing it to mind, it's awareness that begins to create change.
And that's what we want. Right?
That's what we
for the
want.
better.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much for,
Yeah.
for joining. Thank you for tuning in. And I think we'll close in a little meditation.
Awesome.
This one's one of my favorites. So
I'm gonna actually drink our tea.
take a sip of your tea. I'll pull this up. So we'll begin by getting in a comfortable position. Feet under your knees if you're sitting. Finding a nice comfortable spine. Maybe closing your eyes. Taking a few deep breaths. Breathing through the nose. Noticing the heart rate. Using the breath to steady the heart, to soften the body. Letting a little audible sigh on the next exhale. Imagine yourself floating or melting away easily and effortlessly, allowing yourself to drift down to that relaxing trance state. Starting now at the top of your head, just scanning your body, each and every breath, allowing the comfort and relaxation to begin to drift down your body. If you notice any areas of discomfort, that's fine. Just take a deep breath and breathe into them. And then notice how on the other side of your body, it's more comfortable. And you can trust that the comfort in your body will continue the way the ocean washes the shore to wash the sand of discomfort away as you just continue moving your attention all the way down your body to your toes. And when you reach your toes, take another deep breath in through your nose and through your mouth. Taking yourself even deeper into that relaxing place, deep inside the body. Relaxing the mind. And I'd like you to consider this idea of not taking things personally. What would that look like for you if you were able to practice that better and better each and every day in so many different situations with different people in different ways? Now, it may be true to say that those who are closest to us in our most intimate relationships are oftentimes the most difficult to not take things personally. And so, maybe a good place to start would be to consider an acquaintance or colleague at work. I'd like you to now go in your mind to a time this past week or month when a situation came up with an acquaintance, friends, or colleagues that disturbed you in some way, that offended you, hurt your feelings, perhaps made you angry or feel disrespected. And whatever pops in your mind, just go with it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. See yourself in that situation. And now we're going to change that memory and rearrange history. As you see yourself in that situation, see yourself now taking a deep breath and imagining that the person or people in front of you are in their own bubble of a dream, and maybe their dream is a nightmare. And you have your bubble around you to dream the dream that you choose. Taking another deep breath and noticing how you just no longer need to take their dream or nightmare personally. And you may notice how quickly, easily, and effortlessly you're able to find yourself saying to yourself, wow, I am so blessed that I don't have to live in a nightmare like they live. And feel that peace around you, knowing that whatever they're doing has nothing to do with you. And in those situations, there's nothing we can really do or say, especially say. There's nothing to be said. Just breathe and be, so that you can walk with greater grace and dignity. Now, see yourself in another situation in the past. Maybe it's with someone a little closer to you on an intimate relationship. And bring this new picture into that past moment. Whatever pops into your mind, just go with it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See yourself in that past situation, taking a deep breath and visualize that bubble of their dream around them and around you. And whatever they do just bounces off your bubble, and they're trapped in their own nightmare, their own dream, their own pain and insecurity. And you can almost even begin to have perhaps a deeper sense of compassion about them, because we all know what that's like. We don't want to be trapped in fear and insecurity. And so, send them some love on your exhale. And now allowing these things to become a part of you, so you can consider in your mind how you might use them to help you in each and every day. No longer take things personally, so that you can be the best you can be. Take a deep breath and roll your shoulders as you open your eyes wide awake. welcome back. I look forward to seeing you next week as we discuss our third agreement. Thank you for joining.
I know. Sorry, this